The hooligan of the week this week is Theo Vaughn versus Caretaker, which is Chris Rock's character from The Longest Yard. Um,
I
this is a
think this is going to
curious
be a
one.
hell of a matchup.
I think it's a good matchup because Theo Vaughn, we know. I mean, you're talking about confusing a bear. If anybody could confuse a bear, it'd be Theo Vaughn with his talking about all this kind of things. Like, yeah, we had a kid growing up in my neighborhood whose dad actually was a bear. Um, and he was
Well,
half honey
that's what I
jar,
think.
so he was
I
in the
think.
slower classes.
I think they'll birth both. They'll birth. They'll both work each other into verbal confusion, like
Yeah,
because they're both pretty like quick witted. Like they're not even quick witted, but they've both just got a lot of wisecracks that they'll just use for each other. Like that was Caretaker's whole thing. I also think that, and some people might disagree with this, but I think Theo Vaughn is probably half a star as well. Like I don't think he's a threat to society, especially not sober.
I don't think he's a threat to society, no, but I do
Like
think
he's
he's
not
hilarious.
dangerous. He is, but you know how like Caretaker is half a star when they look up their rating.
Oh, okay, yeah, yeah, yes, yes.
Yeah,
I remember that part now. I
I
haven't
don't
seen
think
that movie in so long.
I don't think Theo Vaughn is much more than that either.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I could see him getting half a star, but maybe in real life being a little bit more, having a little bit more than a star under his belt. I do think that both of them, if anybody could kind of like follow Theo Vaughn's train of thought, I think it would be Caretaker. I think he kind of lives in that same space or is definitely not off put by it, which is interesting
Yeah,
because you feel like maybe that's going to be Theo's number one thing going into this fight is like, I'm going to be able to kind of confuse this man and then bow, 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 get him when he least expects it.
yeah, but
However,
I don't think I don't think I mean unless it's all a bit, but I really don't think it is. Like I don't think Theo Vaughn says things thinking that he's confusing people. Like I don't think he
no,
does that on purpose. I think he just
no.
says what comes to his mind, and his mind is just all over the place,
Yeah,
which is what makes it
absolutely.
funny.
Absolutely. But I do think that physically, because Chris Rock, and especially this Caretaker character, is so skinny. And I think Theo Vaughn, he's got, I mean, it's not like he's the biggest guy ever, but he's definitely pretty
Yeah, but
strong.
yeah, and I bet you he could take a beating. Like I bet you pain doesn't have a ton of impact on him.
Yeah.
But to be honest, I don't know that Caretaker's much different either. Like think about it. I mean, he pretty much establishes himself as the like the biggest Switzerland in prison. You know what I mean? Like he's
Hmm.
neutral. He's friends with everybody. He like is able, he found his niche, which is like to be the caretaker. You know what I mean? Supply people with what they need, and keeps his head out of the way. Other than that, I feel like he kind of is similar in a sense where he knows his role, and I'm sure he had to go through some shit at one point in time to get to where he was in prison in terms of like being a neutral, being liked by everybody.
Interesting.
Like nobody didn't like him except for the
Sure.
guards and that one sketchy ass dude that ends up murdering him. But
Yeah.
he wasn't even trying to murder him. He was trying to murder Adam Sandler's character.
Right. But I do feel like this niche that Caretaker has built for himself is really more of a defense mechanism than anything because he knows that if it came down to it physically, he wouldn't be able to handle himself. So I think that he's not going to be prepared for a physical altercation. I mean, even like you said, like he's in this space that's quite dangerous, living in this prison. And with these guys who could definitely, I mean, beat the crap out of him. And he just has his way of getting through that is to come up with a niche, again, a niche for himself where he's not going to have to get into a physical altercation. So I don't think he's going to be ready for Theo in this case. And Theo, you know, maybe it's been a while since he's had to throw hands, but, of course, I mean, I think he can still access that part of
Yeah,
his brain no problem.
I agree with you. I do think that Caretaker found his niche because he couldn't, he has no physical prowess in that sense. So that's his way of protecting himself. And, I think coming down to it, I think Theo Vaughn probably could beat his ass. Although he probably has whatever Theo Vaughn's looking for. You know what I mean? Like in terms of like he could be like, I got some, and it would be something like most people would be like, why would I want that? But Theo Vaughn would be like, you know what? I will take that, and I will not beat you up because of it. But unfortunately, that's not how the Hulu of the Week works. So yeah, I'll go with Theo Vaughn on this one too.
Yeah, it's got to be. It's got to be.
All right, well, we'll lock that in. Vote on that on Instagram on Friday. Who would win of the week? Theo Vaughn versus Caretaker from The Longest Yard. That's a great fight. Although we do know Chris Rock in real life can take a slap. Shout out to William Smith.
That's true. Damn straight.